All right, welcome to Hidden Tracks Podcast. My name's Shane Murphy. As always, I'm your host for this wonderful podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. If you like what you're listening to, please 5 stars, and please go out and listen to all the artists that I'm interviewing and everybody that I mentioned throughout the show. We're trying to get people a little more recognition, and we're in troubling times, and we're trying to get music out there to people that may not have the gall to start searching. So you can find us at myhiddentracks99 at gmail.com. Hidden Tracks 1 is our Twitter handle. Hidden Tracks 99 is our Instagram, and our website is myhiddentracks.com. Today, I'm lucky to have a great band called RACOMA. They put out their own album back in May during our crazy times that we're living in. So they probably had a tour planned for it. And as we all know, people aren't out there touring. And so I'm trying to help them get this out here to everyone else. So today I'd like to welcome Sean, Glenn, and Spencer to the show. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thank you
for having us.
Thank you.
So let's talk about it. I mean, we're in crazy pandemic, and you guys put out an album. So let's talk about that. What was that like? Were you guys planning on always putting it out in May?
Yeah, originally we were, and everything like shit hit the fan, and we were just like, yeah, let's just stick to our guns and do it. And we thought about derailing it and maybe pushing it back, but I think we made the right decision.
So when did you finish recording for this?
I think we've recorded most of it at home, and we must have wrapped that around September. But then our good friend Mike Vernon Davis invited us to do some overdubbing at Hall of Justice, and so we did that probably until around November, December, and then mixing and mastering, and kind of getting the rest of the pieces in line, and then putting it out in May.
Well, like I said before we started recording, I've been listening to it nonstop. It's a great album. I implore people to go out there and listen to it. It's called This Front Room by RACOMA. So how did you guys find each other? How did you guys decide to start making music together?
Originally, I moved out here to pursue music. I had a buddy out here, and I was in a band in Jersey, and that kind of fizzled out. So I came out here with my wife, and we, just came out here solely to start a new project, and met Sean at work. And we kind of hit it off pretty instantaneously. And the member that we had before kind of fizzled out as well. And Spencer came to a bunch of our shows. And we needed a bassist at the time. Because we lost that other member, and first person we thought of was Spencer, and we asked him if he would play, and he's like, "No, I don't play bass." And then literally 3 days later, it was like, "Yeah, I do play bass." Not like he was lying, but more so he knew how committed we were and what we were looking for.
And it was very intimidating.
Yeah. But yeah, everything happened kind of just serendipitously. Yeah. I don't know if you want to add to that, Sean or Spencer.
I think you nailed it.
All right. Well, I'm going to get this started and our conversation going, and I'm going to go. I'm going to start with Sean, and it'll be the same question for each of you. I'm a big believer in when things change in your life and you have to start to figure things out on your own. And in terms of music, my thing that I like to find out about people is when you're a kid and you're always singing these sing-along kid songs, and then all of a sudden you hear a song one day, real music, as I would say, instead of singing Frere Jacques in school, and you hear real music and something changed. Sean, do you know when that started? Do you remember when you heard that first type of music that just changed, going from all that kid cartoon bullshit to real actual music, when it started to change your life a little bit?
I don't. I think I've had several of those moments in different ways throughout my life. One that comes to mind was when I was maybe 10 or 11, my parents started putting me in piano lessons.
Every story starts that way. It's crazy. There should be 90 million piano players out there right now.
I should be way better at piano considering that's when I've started playing, but unfortunately I'm not. Probably the least skilled piano player in RACOMA.
That's not true.
No, that's not true at all.
But yeah, they put me in piano, and around that time, I forget how it happened, but my parents showed me the movie Amadeus about Mozart.
Mm-hmm.
And it made an impact on me, and I like got really into that era of like Baroque music and stuff. And I was kind of a weird, nerdy 11-year-old kid trying to figure out those songs on piano. But yeah, I've been fortunate to like have a lot of those moments throughout my life, thanks to, you know, my parents showing me music really early on, and then friends, you know, having great taste and showing me stuff that my parents couldn't have shown me.
So where was your journey after that piano and Amadeus? Where did it take you to I guess, you know, your parents don't show you stuff, so the more dangerous stuff.
Yeah, I had I still have a really good friend named Daniel Drake. He's a really talented artist himself, rapper, break dancer in California. And he kind of got me into like the underground hip hop realm with like MF Doom and Del the Funky Homo Sapien and like so many more, and showed me some alternative rock stuff, like, you know, like Incubus and Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff that he was into. So he also made a big impact on my taste in that time.
Awesome. So go from there. I'm going to go next to Spencer. Tell me your story. When did it change for you from a kid and started to realize that music was something other than sing-alongs?
Well, actually, before any memories that I have, I actually remember seeing like footage of me like in diapers, still like putting music on my dad's giant stereo and dancing to it. And it was stuff like Yes and Pink Floyd and obviously the Beatles and classic things like that. But yeah, from there, it was kind of just like listening to my dad's CDs on this giant stereo. And yeah, other influences came from like my sister. She would like take me out to shows when I was a young teenager, and she introduced me to live music, and it was really cool and really helpful for like actually getting into music
and learning about it and seeing the difference between hearing something on CD to seeing it live is mind numbing.
Yeah.
And Glenn.
Yeah. I grew up like pretty religious. I know we don't want to bring up religion, but I'll bring it up.
Totally fine.
I grew up like hyper religious. So music was always like the cool part of, you know, going to church. The sermons were like the worst, shitty part. So I like really loved music and loved singing and doing that. But then I remember just like hanging around like the right people, and they steered me toward like the Strokes and, you know, that kind of genre. I remember just like hearing the Strokes and being like, fuck, this is the stuff. Like, this is nothing I've ever heard. So that was like a big moment. Probably the most profound band for me in terms of like wanting to do music, and I don't know, just their persona and their celebrity and who they were was just like so like counter church, it felt, at least in a good way. Yeah. And it's just like very, I don't know, very vivid memory of hearing the Strokes for the first time.
And so did that propel you like right away? And you too, Spencer, when you see live music, that like that's what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, at the time I had kind of started to like mess with instruments when I was starting to see live music. So it was like even cooler because I was like, oh, I can, you know, maybe someday I can do something like this. but I was kind of imitating other musicians at that point and just trying to play, like trying to play a certain beat on the drums, or like trying to learn a guitar part by ear or something from a band that I admire. But yeah, seeing it, like being introduced to actual shows was like definitely a turning point for me, where I was like really interested in playing music.
Cool. Glenn, so if you grew up that hyper religious, I mean, how was it that you were able to sneak in the Strokes into your life and try and figure out how to do something with music?
I mean, I was able to. It wasn't like I wasn't able to listen to like secular music or that kind of thing, but so I was able to like listen to that and kind of enjoy that. In terms of like how music started for me, I sang in like like a church youth group, whatever. And then probably a few months into it, I was like, I don't want to sing about God all the time. I want to like sing about some real shit. So I started writing my own songs, and yeah, it just felt really natural and really great. Yeah.
Did you for people who write songs, I always say songwriters are constantly writing songs. Doesn't matter what you're doing, there's always a song somewhere going on in your head. Was it, when you started to write your first song, was it challenging, or did it just come as something? Because I mean, the songs on the album are, I mean, you guys, all three of you, just again blown away by it. So how easy or hard was it for you to just start writing songs and to collaborate with each other to come up with this stuff?
I mean, I'm the type of person that is good at having like a million snippets of ideas and not good at seeing all those through and finishing songs. So I've actually kind of learned to figure that out with the band, and like the exercise of collaborating with everybody on, structuring out a musical idea, or like kind of problem solving where things could go musically. That's how I kind of picked up on that skill, was getting feedback from everyone and like collaborating with everyone. I wasn't really good at that before joining the band personally.
And Glenn?
Yeah, similar. I mean, I was able to, when I first started, to write a few songs, and those were pretty like easy to write, but they weren't very good. So as like it progresses, like I feel like songwriting gets easier in so many ways, but it gets so much harder because you're not trying to make what you wanted to make before. Yeah, and it's just interesting like how we all collaborate, us three. It's very songs, there's no formula I feel like we've found necessarily. It's like we can be, working remote and sending music to each other and working on that, or we can get together and write. Songs come in, 5-minute songs also take like 3 weeks. Yeah.
Is that what you guys have been doing, like remotely trying to come up with new stuff? I mean, it sucks so bad that you came out with a great album and you couldn't do the tour behind it. Are you trying to write new stuff, or are you working on hoping when the world opens up one day to just hit the ground running with what you've already recorded?
We have quite a few songs in the works. Probably more than another album's worth right now. We're just trying to like write as much as we can, and we're kind of doing it. We did take one trip together and wrote. We just kind of hunkered away in a cabin and wrote for like 4 days straight. And we also have been sending things back and forth and trying to track over each other's tracks. And yeah, we have quite a few things already, and we're going to try to keep it up.
That's awesome. So, I mean, considering this is your first album, and the world shuts down, I can't imagine what that must have done to your guys' psyche. How much did you have planned behind the release of the album?
We'd planned our first like West Coast tour and like bought a van and everything, and kind of had booked shows and booked other acts to play with. And I think it was scheduled for sometime around like April, if I remember correctly. Maybe that's wrong. But yeah, we had to kind of scrap the whole plan, which I don't know, was disappointing. But to be honest, we hadn't really figured out how to do that, and it's not like we've done it before and then we knew what we were missing. Life just kind of went on, or I guess the band kind of went on in the same way we'd been going. I think that it's only like it's gotten harder the longer we haven't been able to play shows, because it's sinking in more and more that like how much we miss that and how much that informs the music we're making also. But in the moment, it was kind of like, all right, well, everyone's in the same boat. Let's just figure out how to make the best of the situation.
Yeah. And I think for us, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're slightly a little bit more fortunate that we're not like this super well-known band that relies completely on, our music yet. Like, obviously we want to get to that place, but there's so many bigger acts that, have employees and have all this, and, they've lived their life knowing they're going to make money off music on some level, and that's kind of shut down for them. So, I mean, I guess we're fortunate to still have like our day jobs and, I don't know if that's a real thing, but that's kind of how I feel about the timing of it.
It makes total sense. I mean, if you're just getting ready to start this huge venture and it gets slowed down before it started, sometimes it's better that before you start something, it doesn't happen right away and you have more time to think about it. And, because a lot of times you'll just jump into something and not knowing what's coming. And
yeah,
I think you're absolutely right that you didn't have other people depending on you to do this.
Yeah.
So let's move on to some more productive stuff and try to bring the music out of all of us. When it comes to when you guys are sitting around and you're writing, I know there's always my big thing. Music is always on. There's a reason why every vehicle comes with a radio, because music is so powerful and it has an important part in everybody's life. What are some of your bigger influences, or what do you guys listen to when you're trying to come up with stuff or just taking a break and you need to chill? What's kind of some of the stuff you guys like to listen to?
Yeah, some of the stuff I think we've all can kind of agree on. We've been listening to a lot of like Big Thief. And yeah.
The new Flight singles are really good. Big Thief. Oh man, there's a lot. One of my favorite albums that came out this year is Blake Mills's solo album. His third solo album, I believe. That made a big impact on me. It came out during quarantine, so I kind of had that on repeat for a bit.
You get to attach something to it now to, 20 years from now when you put that back on, it'll bring you back to quarantine.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing for him.
Or if we're still in quarantine 20 years from now.
Yeah. Let's hope not, because I need live music in my life. So
yeah,
you and us both.
So do you have? I'm gonna go person to person on this. Spencer, what's the guilty pleasure you have? What's the thing you're most embarrassed that you would have in your iTunes or Spotify playlist?
Oh man. Guilty pleasure. I don't know. I actually just have a lot of weird stuff that I listen to that not a lot of people are into. A lot of it's more like, I don't know, more ambient or just weird and electronic based stuff. I do actually have like a lot of like borderline EDM kind of stuff that I listen to that is probably not like what a lot of people around us
and
are
very
listening
different
to.
from what you guys make.
Yeah, very different. I mean, I like to record and try to produce my own kind of like electronic music too. So I have a big like electronic music influence, especially just because of a sound design type of perspective where it's like cool to, because electronic music is kind of like, it just like covers so many bases. And so that's always something that I can put onto like, I don't know, just like
Step
have,
away.
yeah, and like have my mind blown at the same time. It's just like, whoa, how do they do this crazy stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of different tones you can find through that and come up with, and sounds, and not realize that some of those sounds could actually be beautiful music.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's like room for that in a lot of other genres. Just like you just have to use it tastefully, and yeah. I don't know if I have any specific thing I can say that I have a guilty pleasure of in my library, just because I just have like, I don't know. I always save new things that I find, and then I randomly hear them in my library again. So I would have to like actually look.
Yeah, no, hey, it's totally fine. If I always say sometimes you it's okay to own everything. I try to own everything, and doesn't matter what's in there. But when I'm looking at things, is if somebody found that and said to me like, "Dude, what are you doing with this?" That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. Glenn, what do you have something that if someone picked up your playlist and was like, "Why are you listening to this?"
Probably the first thought that came to my mind is probably like Shania Twain would be, if I had like an iPod. I'm not like a big playlister, but if I had an iPod, that she would definitely be in there, just because, I don't know, she was able to make like such poppy ass good like candy music, you know?
King Shania.
Yeah, she's just that's just like the guilty. I just wanted to dig deep into like what would be the guiltiest pleasure, and that would probably be Shania Twain.
I could
awesome.
totally see you in a convertible, like on the highway with your hair going and like Shania blasting through the
The
speakers.
best part about being a woman, just going 90.
I think right now, if someone picked up my phone and like dug through my music app, the guilty pleasure might be just the sheer quantity of Kings of Leon that I have saved in there. Like maybe Kings of Leon in themselves is not necessarily that much of a guilty pleasure, but I think the amount of their discography that I have saved might be alarming to someone.
The fact that you have 1,800 songs and they've only released 90 type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So next thing I'd like to know is when it comes to music and listening to albums, I'm a big fan of listening to whole albums. I've get on this all the time about the digital age we're in now. It's good in some regards, in other regards I don't think it's so good, because you get to pick and choose what you want to hear, and then you never listen to that other stuff or fully listen to it. I'm a five guy, as I call it. I listen to an album 5 different ways. Riding in the car, mowing the lawn, sitting in the studio, talking with friends, having it on in the background. Like there's 5 different ways you got to listen to an album to really understand it. So when you get to pick and choose and listen to one song, I don't think it does the artist any justice or the album. So I always look for like unskippable albums that I'm going to put on song 1 to track 12, whatever it may be on it. Do you guys have any specific, Spencer, I'll start with you, a specific album that is just your number one unskippable album that you'll just put it on and you'll play it from song 1 to the last track without ever skipping it?
Yeah, there's a number of those albums that I do that too, and I think
You
one
can
of
give me
them,
more than one, because I have 394. I think.
one of my there's an electronic artist named Apparat, this German electronic artist, and he has this album that he put out called The Devil's Walk, and it's a very it's electronic, but it's like a lot of acoustic instruments and like live drums and a lot of just live stuff going on. And they kind of just made it sound electronic in post production, I guess, or during the production process. But that's one of the albums that I love, just listening to the whole thing. And I don't really get too often if I'm around people, because it might sound kind of boring to them. But yeah, there's a lot of those.
All right. Glenn, what do you got?
I would first thing that came to mind, Parachutes, Coldplay. It's just I don't know, just such an attachment to that album, as everybody else in the world, I feel like. Yeah, it's just unskippable. You can play it start to finish, and 5 different ways you can listen to it, you know?
Yeah, and that, I think that album for me is, I have this category of overrated, underrated bands, where I think they get overrated for the stuff that was on the radio, but they're really underrated for the stuff that's on the album that people never talk about. And I think that album, and I mean, I think they had back-to-back perfect albums.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fact that sometimes Coldplay gets shit on, which, hey, everybody will at some point, but I think they fall into that overrated, underrated category of, you know, like, listen to all their stuff, man. Listen to every song. Don't just listen to what's on the radio.
Exactly, yeah.
I have like certain unskippable albums for like different scenarios. Like, you know, lately, like Run the Jewels, for when I go on a run, I'll just literally put that on and let every track go. Yeah. If I'm like doing work, I'll put on Khruangbin, Con Todo El Mundo, and just like let that go, because there's no vocals and I can just kind of zone out. I love a lot of like, probably a big, just like really enjoying the listen and intently listening and going through it, might be In Rainbows by Radiohead. Just because of all the textures, the guitar work, the melodies. I love that album, and even the disc 2 that they put out, version of that, has some, is still like unskippable to me.
So do you guys just gave me widely different types of music, and you have these different types of musical backgrounds and likes and dislikes, and when it comes to your music that you put out together, I mean, it's amazing. And this is why I like talking to people. Everybody's background is a little different, and what they like is a little different. But when you guys are together, it just comes out and it sounds natural. I also like to say it sounds peaceful, and I don't ever mean that to be, you know, people, when I say the word peaceful is sleepy. I mean, peaceful to me is, it's just, I feel it when I hear it, and I'm just like, I feel great listening to this, and I'm very peaceful. It takes me to just a fuck the world type of place.
Sick.
Like, this is what I'm listening to right now. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, who's driving by. I don't care, because I'm in my peaceful place listening to this
just
music.
Running people over.
Yeah.
Go gun, go gun.
Get out of my way. Fucking speed bumps.
Oh man.
Just on the turnpike. Do you use those influences, like when you guys are sitting down, like Spencer, if you're into this EDM stuff, I mean, coming up with beats and bass lines, I mean, is that what you use sometimes to write that stuff, or are you just totally different when it comes to putting the music together?
I think a lot of, well, we do have a lot of mutual interests together that kind of like makes sense with like the stuff that we're making, but I do find inspiration in many different genres, and I kind of like study it in a way where it's like, you know, just me trying to figure out why I like it so much, and like what there is in the song that like grabs me. And I think you can just do that with any genre and bring it back to what you make in some way.
Yeah. I never really thought about it, but like you listening to like EDM or not like necessarily like the conventional EDM, but electronic music, you're like pretty like texture heavy and rhythm heavy. I feel like that you really add that to the band. Spencer.
Definitely helps with the rhythm.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
there's so many. I mean, you could do like any kind of rhythm, and in electronic music and do something with it. But yeah, that definitely helps just to have like a heavily rhythm influence, like complete genre, and just bring that back to, you know, use like different types of patterns and stuff for, you know, a more folky song or just like anything else that's just all acoustic instruments, or not acoustic, but, you know, just playable instruments.
So there's so many different descriptions nowadays and genres. Like I don't know what genre is what. To me, just it's music. And what would you categorize yourself as a band to? And I hate to put labels on it because I've talked to some people and I've sent them your album and I'm like, guys, got to check this out. They're a great rock band. You know, they got a little alt funk and folk and like they just, and I can't put a label on it. What do you guys want to be known as? Like, what genre do you want to fall into?
Yeah, we never figured that out. I think we just slap the indie alternative rock like umbrella
blanket,
over.
the most blanket genre.
Yeah. I think it's easier to just be like indie rock band and people will find you.
Yeah, it's just so like I don't really know where we land. And for the most part, I feel that way about, like you were saying, Shane, I feel that way about like a lot of music, and it's just really confusing to describe it in one word, or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just being part of like having so many different likes in music. Like I'm so widespread. I mean, I sit here in my studio. I have Morris Day and the Time, and then there's Ella Fitzgerald, and then I look down Amos Lee, and then I have Coffin Break with Bleeding People on the cover. Like I just have all this different stuff that I just listen to and I like, and I don't have it labeled as anything. It's just all in a row. Like it's not like a record store where here's the jazz section, here's this. No, it's just all music.
Yeah.
And it's really hard when people start to categorize and pigeonhole and put bands with other bands. And I think you see a lot of that too. Like when you go to a concert, you'll have 3 bands in a row. They're kind of the same. And for me, I want a little something different sometimes. How do you guys perceive, you know, music, and if and when you do book another tour, how you're going to handle that kind of stuff so you don't get this, I don't want to call it pigeonholed, but sometimes some clubs will just like be like, no, you're not our type of music.
Yeah.
How do you combat that?
I think we've always been like, what we like we're like, holy shit, that band's good. Doesn't matter what they are. Like we want to play with them. You know, it's just like if the band is good and we all 3 of us agree on it, then it's just like it doesn't really matter what it is. That's always the first and foremost, less so like fit in with our genre. Obviously, I don't think we'd have a great show if it was like a metal show, you know, like headliner and we opened some sad ass indie rock. But
yeah, you're opening for Nuclear Assault. I think
a Lamb of God.
Yeah.
Just I don't know if it would pan out, but I think in the same like wheelhouse, but more so, it's always like what's good. That's always the filter of we want to make sure we're playing with good people.
I think it's more of a like what fits the energy better than like genre. I'd say like, yeah, the energy has to be more similar than the actual genre.
What's cool is I think with the indie genre, there's a wide range of stuff, but you know, someone who likes one end of that spectrum of the range might like something at the other end. So I've even been to some shows where like the opener is a singer-songwriter playing an acoustic, and the headlining act is more of like a indie rock, like energetic band. And that's been kind of a cool thing because, you know, in liking so much different range of music within one genre, you can pick something out of that like solo acoustic performance that you would enjoy, that kind of sets you in the right headspace to see this like lively rock band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had seen a couple of years ago. It was probably one of the most. I want to say the weirdest progression of listening to live music I'd ever seen. I don't know if you guys. I went to see Raina Maria, indie band from the '90s, indie emo, late '90s, early 2000s. Mike Kinsella opened with an acoustic guitar, and then the next person that came up was Olivia Neutron John, and it was she was
Beautiful
this,
name.
yeah, she was like this. I mean, she just put on a performance. It was her and her keyboard. It was just sounds and screaming into a microphone. And so you open with an acoustic person, and then this crazy girl comes on stage and puts on this performance of her lifetime, writhing on the floor with all these crazy sounds going on. And then you get Raina Maria comes on, and it's this indie emo, but some slow songs, some fast songs. The show was over. I was like, I don't know what I just experienced, but I think it was really cool. But I'm also leaving like I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's gonna like capture the audience. Like, is that solo acoustic thing gonna get people to get really quiet and like lean in, or is the like screaming gonna get everyone to stop talking to each other and
Yeah.
pay attention to the music?
Yeah, you also got to worry sometimes though, but that I love it when the opening band, it just blows you away, and you're like, wow, who I paid to come see better fucking bring it, because they just tore the house down.
Yeah. I love openers, and so many people skip out on the openers. I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, see, I want to say I'm guilty of that. In my early 20s, I mean, we talk about it now, my friends and I, and I'm like, what the fuck were we doing? Why did we paid $25 and we could have seen 4 bands, but we waited, and then we got crushed into the back to see the headliner. And now, as I'm older, I'm literally the first person through the door, and I'm like, I can't wait to see who's opening.
Yeah.
And you find so much amazing stuff.
You do, yeah. You find a lot of weird, not so good stuff too, but
Well, yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's the territory of anything.
So I know that it's so new for you guys, but being a band and putting out an album, and you guys put this out by yourself. I mean, was there any struggle that you guys came up against when trying to put out an album by yourself?
Yeah, you need money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think money, and also not really having like the support necessarily behind it. Like, I think that's very going forward. I think we're pretty not like adamant and it's the only way, but I think we want to, release that with more of a push and more of, a team behind it. Yeah, that's probably the biggest struggle for a lot of independent artists, because there's so much good independent music that you hear and you're like, what? This has like 1,000 listens? What the fuck? But meanwhile, like Justin Bieber's crushing. Like,
yeah, I don't want to talk about that kind of shit, because I'm up for hours on end, and I go down crazy rabbit holes on Bandcamp, and I just like, how is only 30 people a friend of this fucking band?
Yeah,
it's the greatest thing I've heard. How does no one know about it? And then I just try to get it out to the 60 people I know, and hope that they're going to turn on other people, because it's to me it's disappointing, and especially when there's a great band and what you guys, your album that just came out, like I want so many people to hear it, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm trying to help people and get focus on their music, because it's an art form, and I want true art, like what you guys are doing, instead of the Justin Biebers of the world that are just bubblegum fucking churned out in a machine.
yeah.
I want real artists to get recognized and get what they deserve, get a piece of that bullshit that, is out there. And I don't ever want it to go away, and I don't want people to get discouraged from doing what they're doing because they may not feel they only have 60 views or something, along those lines. I want people to continue doing what they're doing, because it does make a difference. whether you see it or not, when you guys write a song and someone listens to it, and I've said this 100 times to myself, that when a show's over and I have an opportunity to talk to an artist, and if I don't do it and tell them how much it means to me, I'm just like, I'm an asshole. I should have just told them how much it meant to me, because they may not know that.
Yeah. That's great that you do that. Yeah.
That's like how I joined the band. Actually,
It goes a long way.
I went up to these guys and I was like, "You guys are great." And Glenn, being the nice guy that he is, he's like, "Oh, that's awesome. What's your name?" And just like we just hit it off, and yeah, it's great to do that. It's great.
There was definitely like one, maybe two shows that like we were prepared to play for nobody until like Spencer and our now like friend group that he has brought along showed up and totally like gave us a reason to get excited.
Bring like 10 people out at a time.
Yeah. Well, listen, I was working with a band and talking to them, and they get, I can understand as bands when you go to play a show and no one's there, and it's just really discouraging. And I always used to try to say, just, hey, if there's one person here, you don't know who that one person is. So you have to play the fucking show of a lifetime, because you don't know who's there. You don't know who's in the back. And that's, in the old days in the smoke-filled room, or you don't know who that is. So don't get discouraged. Just play the show, because that person back there could be somebody who owns the largest record label in the world. So just play that show and play it for yourselves, if not anything else.
Yeah. I think we've played enough bad shows to really like lock in with each other and enjoy that. I think, some of the harder shows is when like no one's really paying attention, because it's just like the wrong format. Like we played a school, but it was kind of like their study room, kind of like a split between the cafeteria and like study hall, and people were like in there like working, which is like totally what they should be doing. We should like not be in there playing.
Season.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're like sweating and on Adderall and whatever they have to do, those kids in school to get through it. But you're
trying to play a show.
Yeah, we're just trying to play a show, but it's also like, I mean, to your point, it's like we still really much enjoy playing the show, and we'll always like love doing that, even if it's really horrible. Like there was this one girl in that whole room that was actually listening to us the whole time, and like that just means like so much to us in that moment. It's just like, okay, just one, like we made a connection. There was a connection between these beings, which was
and that's awesome, and that's why you got to do what you do, because it like I said, you don't understand what that song could have meant to that person at the time, or that show. Like I always say, you don't know what anyone else is going through, because no one ever wants to tell you, and they could be having the worst day of their life, and they could be thinking some terrible thoughts, and you just played a song that changed their outlook on everything. And that's why I always try to tell people to just keep doing what you're doing, and don't worry, because other people are going through some shit in their life that you don't know about. So if you're writing a song, that means something different to somebody else.
Yeah.
Than it does to you. And that's why it's really important. And that's why I appreciate what you guys do when you put out an album such as you guys did.
Yeah. It's kind of it's one of those things that makes it all worth it when you hear that somebody, going through, like somebody on Instagram messaged us about like, mental health. And I just thought it was really cool that they found like solace in our music and something to like, help them through that. And I mean, however small that is, it's just really cool to know, like, I mean, we put out these songs because we like them and they sound good, but to us at least, and we don't really, at least I don't really like think much about the impact of it until it happens, and you're like, holy fuck, like,
that's why I think more people need to try to reach out to artists and tell them how much what they're doing means to them, because I think it'll help you guys keep doing what you're doing. and
Yeah.
never giving up on anything, and understanding what you do makes a difference.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So we're going to come in on our time. I don't like to keep people too long. And we got 3 people here. So we're going to have to go 3 different things. I end the conversations on the podcast with the weekly 3s. And it's 3 things that you're listening to right now that you want other people to maybe check out. And it could be something new, something old, doesn't matter. But 3 things you're listening to right now that you want people to get a handle out of. So, Sean, I'll start with you.
Ooh, I'm gonna probably take some that Glenn or Spencer might want to say.
It could be the same. It's fine.
I've been really into Glenn. I think Glenn sent it to me first, but the band Flight, Flyte.
Yeah.
They're out of the UK, and they have some music already, but they have 3 new singles for an up and coming record that are each so good and so like repeatable. And I believe they're mixed by Andrew Sarlo, who's done work with Big Thief and Howdy and a bunch of artists. So Flight's super good. Spencer showed me Rozzy playing, and I've been very into. I've kind of been getting into all their music, but the album "What a Boost" is what he sent me first, and I've just been like digging into that. I think if you like Radiohead and like indie music, they have kind of a cool mix of that. And then, I don't know. Maybe I would say Adrienne Lenker's latest album. I'm starting to dig into that and kind of get into. She did all of it in a cabin with just an acoustic guitar and like ambient noises, and kind of try to make the most of really small limitations.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
She's a great songwriter, and like lyrics are always profound, and yeah, feels like a deep dive.
Awesome. Definitely going to check that out. Glenn, what do you got? What are you listening to?
I've been listening to this for a few days now, like really hyper on top of it. But a band called Twain, like Mark Twain, just Twain though.
You mean Shania?
Shania Twain. Oh, full circle. Yeah, he's really cool, multi-instrumentalist, super sick.
Yeah, so good.
I'll probably go with Flight as well. Again, been like really big into them. And then probably Simon and Garfunkel. Like they're like just been like played way too much by me. Yeah, just
nice.
Always a staple.
That's awesome. Spencer.
I actually this last weekend I was getting into some of the later Beatles records just for like I was listening for like the mix and the production of everything, and it's
weird. Still, I just did that too.
Still so interesting to me, and just like going back to those songs that you know and love, and then just like hearing just like all the detail that they put in. Those are really cool. So I was listening to like Abbey Road and the White Album and Let It Be. But other than that, I've been listening to the latest album from a band called Land of Talk. They're a Canadian band, I believe. And it's like ex-members of Broken Social Scene.
Okay.
Kind of like half of Canada is like in that band.
Awesome.
But yeah, their latest album, Indistinct Conversations. And then also Andy Schaaf's album, The Party, I was getting back into. And then also his new record, The Neon Skyline, too. But yeah, the Party, I was getting more into that lately.
Well, that's 2 shows in a row Andy Schaaf popped up in the top 3.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
He's super good.
It's awesome. So my 3 of the week are Ruben in the Dark, Canadian indie folk band. I'm just going to say indie rock band from Calgary. Awesome. Also got back into post-hardcore New York scene with Quicksand, Slip, and Manic Depression, 2 albums that are just heavily on my rotation this week. And then my last one is Deaf Havana. They are a band from England. And if you listen to their first album and you go in progression for every album they got, you're going to get something different every single time. But the 2 albums I suggest are Old Souls and All These Countless Nights. 2 amazing albums that I just can't ever get enough of. So that's my 3 for the week. So guys, I want you guys to get all your stuff out there now. We're going to throw everything up on social media as well. So how people can find you, how they can find the album, how they can reach out to you through all your sites. Now's your chance to do it. Whoever wants to do it.
Yeah, Instagram is always, we're usually pretty good about being on that. Probably too much. At RACOMA Music. And you can check out our music on Spotify and Apple Music, RACOMA. All the other ones too, like Napster and LimeWire and
Enron,
MySpace Music.
Yeah, I like that kazaa, that soft kazaa in the background. That was awesome.
Also, RACOMAmusic.com. You can buy our vinyl there as well.
Awesome.
Yes. Also, reach out to us on Instagram. We're always happy to talk to everyone and anyone.
That's awesome. Making yourself accessible.
Great. Yeah.
I need to order that vinyl now. So, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here. For all the listeners out there, RACOMA, This Front Room is the name of the album. Please, please, please check it out. It's something you're going to like. I promise you, you're going to like it. If you don't talk to them. Talk to me about it because I'll find you.
Thanks, Shane.
So Spencer, Glenn, Sean, thank you guys so much. And for everyone out there, I always like to say, everyone just go out and have a great time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane.